Have you ever told yourself, I thought my 20s were supposed to be fun? Full of excitement and experiences, having tons of friends, partying all night, getting drunk, just like in 22 by Taylor Swift. But why do my 20s feel so dull and pointless? What's the reason behind this, and how can we make the most of these years?
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine.
Hello, everyone. I'm from H&P Podcast, a podcast that helps you breathe easier in life. You can listen to our audio-only podcast on platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts. I used to be the kind of person who wanted to take part in every big or small fun event in my life. Wherever there was excitement, you'd find me there. And if you asked me, did you feel happy after all these parties? My answer would be, absolutely. Of course, I felt happy. I loved going to clubs, partying, and joining in on all the fun. But then I realized that clubbing, partying, and having fun weren't the only definitions of youth, nor were they the only definitions of being in my 20s. For quite a long time, I felt like I was living according to someone else's definition of life. I was influenced by too much pop culture, by other people's thoughts, by other people's perspectives, and even by the opinions of my own friends. And then I realized I need to live my 20s according to my own definition, not anyone else's. I'm not saying that anyone's family values or viewpoints are wrong, but I just want to emphasize the importance of my personal perspective on my own life. Because only I truly understand myself. There were times when I came back from a club and felt really happy, but there were also times when I didn't feel that happy at all. And I discovered that there are two main reasons why a night out partying or going to a club feels truly fun. The first reason, connection. Humans are social creatures, and our need for connection is always there, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. And for people in their 20s, places like clubs, bars, or fun hangout spots tend to be where we connect with others the most easily. If someone asked, where do people in their 20s go to connect? What should we say? The temple. So naturally, we go to clubs. The second reason, I enjoy going to clubs because when I'm dancing, I feel like I can release my energy, and it makes me feel good. I genuinely love that feeling. But have you ever gone out, had fun, and then come home only to feel empty? And you start wondering, wait, wasn't that supposed to be fun? Why doesn't it feel as enjoyable as I thought? Connection. What connection? When I didn't feel connected to anyone at all? And when I don't find energy that resonates with mine or people who truly share my vibe, it's not because I'm not good enough. It's just that I don't belong in that space. When I realized that connection was the key, the most important factor, I also understood that clubbing isn't the only way to connect with others. There are so many different ways to connect, simple ones. For example, I could just call a close friend for a fun chat. That's a form of connection too. Or, one of the best ways to connect, something that has helped me immensely, is reading books. Connecting with the greatest minds on this planet by reading their words is also a form of connection. And the truth is, we always need connection, no matter our age, not just in our 20s. So when people say things like, I don't need anyone, I'm fine on my own, I believe they're either lying or they don't truly understand themselves. We all need connection. The only question is, how do we connect? And always remember, connect in your way. Don't live by someone else's definition of connection. There are countless sayings that emphasize how important connection is, like choose your friends wisely, or we are the average of the 5 people closest to us, or you become who you surround yourself with. Or, we grow through the people we meet and the books we read. So, making the right connections is absolutely crucial. Next is the issue of energy. Sometimes when we go clubbing, yes, it can help release energy, but staying out late and coming home early in the morning is exhausting and can take a toll on our health. Instead, you can try other ways to let out your energy, like exercising. Okay, I know, exercise sounds boring. But what about going bowling with friends, or skiing, jogging, or biking around the city? Those kinds of activities are not only fun, but also way better for your health. And there's another reason why your 20s seem to fly by so fast: a lack of new experiences. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman once gave advice to a reader who wondered, "Why does time seem to pass by so quickly for me? Is there any way to slow it down?" And he wrote, "I suspect the biggest reason is that your days are so similar that they tend to blur together. Try to introduce variety into your days. Even if the experience itself isn't particularly exciting, it will create a series of different memories, and that will make time feel richer as you recall those experiences later on." Let me give you an example. Imagine you take a trip to the beach, a peaceful getaway where every day is calm and relaxing. A whole week passes by in a smooth, almost identical way. But then, on one particular day, you lose your wallet. And inside that wallet are all your important documents. Now, when you return home and someone asks you to recall the trip, those peaceful, quiet beach days won't stand out as much as that one stressful moment when you lost your wallet. And suddenly, you might feel like the whole trip was boring, even though in reality, you spent far more time enjoying the beach than worrying about the lost wallet. The same goes for childbirth. When women are asked about their experience of giving birth, the peak end rule suggests that they mostly remember the peak of the pain, along with the overwhelming joy of seeing and holding their baby for the first time. But they rarely recall the fact that they endured 48 hours of labor. The pain was real, it was intense, but the brain naturally forgets or blurs it out. Perhaps because evolution designed it that way so that humans would continue having children. And that's exactly how your 20s work. According to the peak end rule, if all your days feel the same, your sense of time shrinks. Your 20s will feel shorter than they actually are. But if each day is filled with different highs and lows, moments of excitement, challenge, and change, then your sense of time expands. And when we grow old and look back on our lives, we won't remember the countless repetitive days where we did the same thing over and over. What will stay with us are those peaks and valleys, the highs and lows, the unforgettable moments. The key: a life rich in diverse experiences. There's one more thing I've come to realize I wasted quite a lot in the past years of my life, and that is my inability to accept when someone leaves me, when someone no longer wants to be by my side. Friends or relationships that I was once very close to, from middle school, high school, or even when I studied abroad. I had some very dear friends. But it wasn't like something terrible happened. No major conflicts or fights that caused us to stop being friends. It was simply that, at some point, we no longer shared the same perspectives. Our views diverged. And when we no longer had common ground, we naturally drifted apart. But for a long time, I couldn't accept that. I kept asking myself, why? Why is this happening? Why don't you want to be with me anymore? Why can't we stay together? Why do we have to separate like this? And eventually, I came to understand that people coming into and leaving our lives is just a normal, inevitable part of life. Even with our parents, those who raised us and whom we grew up with, one day, we'll have fewer things in common with them too. And eventually, children must go their own way. Even the ones we think are the closest to us, our life partners. It's not just about negative reasons like divorce or falling out. Simply put, one day they will leave too. Everyone has to go someday. death is unavoidable, and people will naturally drift away from you, and that's completely normal. I've learned that the most important thing in my life is myself. Now, I don't mean this in a selfish way, like, I'm the most important, I don't need anyone else. What I mean is that, when people come and go in our lives, what truly matters is what they leave behind for us, how they shape us. If their values stay with us, if they leave something meaningful in our hearts, then in a way, they never really leave. That, to me, is what truly matters. People coming and going? That's just life. Earlier, I talked about how connection is the key word, but it's not just about connecting with the outside world. External connections aren't everything. One connection I once overlooked is the connection with myself. I believe there are many things in this world that science and logic can't fully explain. For example, sometimes things happen that make us sad, angry, or trigger negative emotions. Long before we even logically process them, we can feel them. And I've realized that emotions are incredibly sharp, that our bodies are highly sensitive. If something feels off, then something is truly off. That's when I know I need to sit down, reflect, and figure out what's wrong with me, what's bothering me, and how to resolve it. Because I've discovered that if I ignore my emotions, if I just brush them aside and distract myself with work or other activities, eventually, those negative feelings will sink deep into my subconscious. And one day, they'll manifest in words and actions that are unkind or irrational. That's why the most important thing is to resolve our emotions. Sometimes, I just sit there, thinking, what have I done? Has someone done something to me? What exactly happened to make me feel this way? And when I take the time to truly reflect and understand my emotions, I can let them go. Those negative feelings won't linger, and they won't turn into inappropriate words or actions. That's why I believe connecting with yourself is just as important. I just hope that through this podcast, I can bring you some comfort, help lessen your sadness, and increase your joy. I'll wrap up today's episode here. If you find this content helpful, please share it with your friends and loved ones. And as always, since YouTube's algorithm favors videos with more likes, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to help more people discover our podcast. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all a peaceful evening.